everyone. Thank you for joining today's Looking Forward with Workday webinar, the third of this year's Looking Forward with Workday Prism Analytics series. We're super excited to have our second Workday Prism Analytics customer spotlight with Oriental Bank. They have a really great financial analytics and reporting story, so we're excited for you to hear about their awesome story to date, along with all of their great future aspirations with Workday Prism Analytics. Before we begin, we wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. So at the bottom of your screen is a gray bar with multiple application widgets that you can use. First is the Help widget. Here you will find resources and information for common technical issues you may experience with the webcast. Then there's the Slides widget. You can expand your slide area or maximize it to full screen by clicking on the arrows in the top right corner. And then the Media Player. Audio and any screen share that may take place during today's session will come through this widget. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can submit them through the Q&A widget, the speech bubble with the question mark that's in the middle of the screen. We'll try to answer these during the webcast, but if a fuller answer is needed or we run out of time, it'll be answered later via email. So please know that we do capture all questions and we'll make sure to respond. You can find additional materials related to Workday Prism Analytics available in the resource list. We encourage you to download any resources or links that you think may be useful. And we've included a link to register for upcoming dates of the Looking Forward with Workday webinar series. An on-demand version of the webcast will be available approximately 1 day after the webcast and can be accessed using the same audience link that was sent to you earlier. So here's a quick run-through of today's agenda. I'll quickly introduce all today's presenters and run through an overview of Workday Prism Analytics for those of you who might not be entirely familiar with Prism today. Then we'll hand it over to our guests to hear about Oriental Bank's great story and their amazing future aspirations with Prism Analytics. We'll also run through a hypothetical demo with mocked-up data that we think showcases some great examples of similar types of what they're doing at Oriental Bank and what other financial analytics customers are using Workday Prism Analytics for. Finally, we'll have that dedicated Q&A at the end of the session. Now, in terms of introductions, my name is Chris Seitz. I'm a product marketing manager for analytics and reporting here at Workday. You'll also be hearing from Oriental Bank's productivity specialist from their business development and strategy group, Ruben Valentine, who's really changing the way that Oriental Bank's executives and managers across the enterprise visualize and consume their financial and operational data to uncover fresh business insights. Finally, we have our enterprise architect from Workday, Troy Mackes, who will walk you through an awesome demo of Prism Analytics. So with that, let's get started. Here at Workday, our vision is to provide finance, HCM, and all of our business professionals with what we like to call our power of one. It's a single platform where you can plan, execute, and analyze, all 100% in the cloud. Workday Prism Analytics enables you to enrich your financial and your workforce analytics with high volumes of non-Workday and legacy data from any source to see the full spectrum of your finance and HR insights, all within Workday. Prism Analytics is built to handle huge volumes of data in a Hadoop columnar structure, which means it's for high volume in both structured and unstructured data that traditional transaction systems just weren't meant to handle. 100% on the cloud and 100% integrated with Workday. At a fundamental level, Prism Analytics enables you to connect and blend your transactional and high volume external operational data, manage it, prepare it, govern it, trace it, and ultimately publish it to be used in financial, HR, and operational reporting and analytics. Increasingly, we'll also be layering in machine learning capabilities and augmented analytics thanks to our acquisition of Stories BI. And we're well underway in integrating with adaptive insights so that you can leverage Prism data in your plans and use drag and drop discovery boards to analyze plan data. What all this ultimately boils down to is that Workday Prism Analytics is a complete self-service end-to-end analytics platform. And we're investing in Prism to make it the data hub for your financial and HR analytics. So what makes Workday Prism Analytics different? With Prism Analytics, you get operational detail and dimensionality that enables you to uncover fresh insights from diverse data sources without the need for countless non-secure and stale Microsoft Excel spreadsheets. It provides you with timely access to the most granular level of detail beneath key general ledger balances, KPIs, metrics, fluctuations, and variances, all in a single system. and lets you perform exploratory analysis on any detail across any dimension to fully understand exactly what happened, when, where, and why. You also get contextual distribution across the enterprise. We have the ability to create one report and have it adapt dynamically to your security settings. Users see what they're supposed to see at the right time with the right data. You're able to simply and securely distribute your financial, operational, and HR business insights across the entire enterprise. There's no creating the same reports and dashboards over and over for different user groups due to security provisions. Finance is empowered with their very own data hub to strategically partner with all of their executives and line of business managers. And finally, a singular Workday experience where you can take action on insights with our power of one. This is all Workday. There's no jumping through multiple analytics and reporting tools and hoops, and it's all built into the core transaction system where you can tie that external and legacy data with your Workday data and drill into and across transactions, any detail, and any dimension in a single system. Finally, Prism Analytics is built for purpose for all those financial and workforce use cases that you can think of. We already have the finance and HCM expertise, and Workday Prism Analytics really takes your financial, operational, and your workforce-specific analytics reporting to the next level. Now, over the past couple of years, we've seen some amazing momentum with Prism. We have super successful customers that are of various sizes across various different industries with a bunch of amazing analytics use cases. Since the time we integrated Prism Analytics into the fabric of Workday, only a couple of years ago, we have over 200 amazing Prism customers, and we can't wait to bring Prism Analytics to even more of our customers to really help them be that strategic partner to the business. Some of the main use cases that we've seen in our customers span these three key areas. First, historical analytics and reporting. The historical analytics and reporting use case is all about storing high volumes of your historical data from legacy systems in Prism for trended views and reporting. We've seen customers save a lot of money and be really successful by taking this route with Prism. What better way to inform your future strategic business decisions than to identify trends and correlations in your legacy data? Forecasts and predictions require vast amounts of data to be effective and to gain credibility. Prism can securely house that detail, all those dimensions, and that enormous sample size required to credibly inform decisions. Then the extended ecosystem use case is all about getting the full picture of your financial and workforce data that might not currently be in Workday today. And finally, which is my favorite use case of all, is the operational insights use case. It's all about industry-related metrics, which because of Prism can now all be integrated into, created, and tracked in Workday. This is about tying your operational data to your financial and workforce information. These are things like bringing in banking system loan and deposit data, point of sale data for hospitality, policy and claims data for insurance, clinical data for healthcare, service tickets and call times, and even weather and geospatial data. The possibilities are nearly endless. Oriental Bank's story is all about automating and simplifying those tactical administrative activities that financial analysts and accounting teams are typically bogged down with to set them up for amazing operational insight use cases in the future. Operational insights that inform their strategies and enable their frontline managers to execute on them. So now, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Ruben Valentin from Oriental Bank, who will walk you through the amazing work that they've done in just a few short months and all that they plan to do at Oriental Bank with Prism Analytics. So Ruben, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruben Valentin. I'm a productivity specialist at Oriental, and I'll be talking about Oriental's financial analytics aspirations with Workday's Prism Analytics. So a little bit about myself. I work in the business development area where we measure the performance of the bank's products through dashboards and reporting. So I'm constantly using multiple databases to provide analysis to upper management. I was interested in looking for an analytics platform that would help me visualize data, and after presenting my interest to management, I was brought on board with the finance and accounting team for the implementation of Prism. So a little bit about the bank. Oriental is a financial institution, a subsidiary of OFG Bancorp, with headquarters located in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We have a headcount of about 1,400 employees and 35 branches distributed across the island. Oriental offers retail and commercial banking, lending, and wealth management products, as well as services and technology. As of March 31st, 2019, OFG Bancorp had $6.6 billion in total assets, of which $4.4 billion were loans. As of the same date, total deposits amounted to $4.9 billion, while total assets under management amounted to $5.1 billion. Our Prism Analytics team is composed by managers and analysts from finance, accounting, and business areas. All members of the team have advanced report writing and business productivity capabilities, as well as in-depth financial and people analytics skills. Finally, our slogan, empowering analysts with data from any source. So our path with Workday commenced in 2015 when we implemented Workday HCM. 2 years later, we implemented Workday Financials. And in October of last year, we embarked on our journey with Workday Prism Analytics, finally activated for general use in March of this year. So before Workday, Oriental used separate platforms for HR and accounting. All reports were managed outside the main HCM and ERP tools. So most of our process included extracting data from the business intelligence application that's part of our core banking system in order to manage it using Excel or Access. So as you can imagine, these activities were very time-consuming, requiring multiple manual data refreshing, impeding us to manage large volumes of data efficiently, with the embedded risk of losing information through those famous application crashes and disconnected from the real time. So why did we choose Workday? With Workday, we have a centralized application. Everything is in one place. Oriental uses multiple platforms for financial services and products, all of them integrated into Workday. Workday's robust infrastructure provides strong, flexible security, allowing a controlled access to information. Creating reports in Workday is intuitive and easy to get familiar with. Visualizations in Workday provide immediate access to the data you need when and where you need it. So our journey with Prism Analytics. As I mentioned before, our journey with Prism started in October 2018. We started with 2 use cases, followed by getting acquainted with Prism security and then activating data discovery for the full visualization experience. The accounting team is leading Prism's implementations as they will be the main users of the applications at this early stage. Business analysts like myself and the IT developers are getting familiarized with Prism and supporting these efforts. Down the road, we expect a bank-wide use of Prism. Though currently we're pulling data from a business application plus text files received from our core banking service provider containing about 5 billion records per month. With Prism, we have full visibility of fluctuations on general ledger at a client level. To understand and get familiar with Prism, we selected 2 simple use cases, one from the accounting department and another from the business area. With Workday support, we were able to explore and visualize the full potential of the tool. So for the business area, our use case was the open and closed accounts. With this, we see how many accounts are being opened or closed, along with the flow of money that's coming in or out of the bank. We see the potential in taking advantage of Workday security to automatically filter data so that branch managers will be able to see how many open or closed accounts are coming from their branch only. With this, they can keep an eye on the flow of money that is coming in and out of the branch. For the accounting department, the use case was net charge-offs versus general ledger reconciliation. Using Prism, we were able to combine data from journal lines and a business intelligence application to have a complete detail of net charge-off fully automated. I will expand on this use case later on the presentation. The flexibility of Workday security infrastructure extends to Prism. Setting a centralized security within Prism allowed us to segregate, view, and manage access not only to the platform, but also to data sets from external sources. As a public corporation, including a financial institution subsidiary, we're highly regulated. Prism allows us to segment security of external data at the data source, row, or field level. For example, being able to secure a deposit subsidiary using Workday's cost center instance will allow branch managers to only see their accounts in their branch. So turning on data discovery for us was crucial in the activation of Prism Analytics. By a simple drag and drop of fields from published data sets, we were capable of having an instant full picture of the automated data load process without the need for creating any additional reports. Visualizations and data discovery are an excellent starting point for the construction of more complex custom reports. Before Prism, validating data was kind of difficult as because of the large volume of records, we had to open periods individually using Excel or other tools in order to prove balances. So right now we have Prism up and running. We have been able to create custom reports maximizing the benefits from linking Workday and non-Workday data. Some of those custom reports were already deployed to a pilot group. Our external data for these custom reports was extracted from our business intelligence tool that's part of our core banking system. Using Prism, we gained a centralized, fully secured data source linked to Workday instances. Currently, the focus group are those users capable of viewing journals, and those same users are ecstatic as now they have BI reports at their fingertips, now with the convenience of having a real-time general ledger linked to the reports. So with agility, drill down capability, and automated reconciliation of subsidiaries to the general ledger are our main achievements. An example of such reports is the core banking subsidiaries. We were able to create derived data sets with a yes or no logic to flag records that balance to the general ledger for daily and monthly loans and deposit-based data sets. Derived records were associated with Workday instances, for example, company, fiscal period, ledger account, and cost center, to present for the same financial periods information from Workday Financials and Prism. These derived data sets are scheduled for periodic publishing, resulting in data sources that users are able to access through bank-wide available custom reports, while report writers are able to create custom reports from data loaded into Prism, with the option to decide if they only want records active in the general ledger. Another example of such reports is the Loans General Ledger interface. We were able to load into Prism daily text files received from our core banking system provider containing the general ledger interface of loans detailed at a loan level. The daily ledger integration from our core banking system to Workday Financials is at a consolidated level. We joined Workday instances with high volume non-Workday data, approximately 5 million records per month, allowing us to create custom reports with detailed interface linked to real-time financials. Our last example is the net charge-offs versus general ledger reconciliation. Net charge-offs are the losses we normally experience with bad loans. With Prism's integration, we were able to eliminate all manual manipulation, reducing human error and time. In the future, this custom report will serve as an output integration to another platform specifically designed to address a new accounting pronouncement covering the allowance for loan losses. So down the road, our pipeline includes compelling dashboards, where we plan to create dashboards anchored to Workday's row-level security by blending data from our core banking system with cost center instances mapped to the branches. This will expedite data to branch managers secured for cost centers they manage. So this will be used for the open and close accounts that I mentioned earlier. For loan delinquencies, we will use Prism's capabilities to unify loan platforms other than our core banking system, leveraging calculations to normalize data from different systems and blending it with ledger account instances for the subsequent creation of daily delinquency reports and dashboards. This will provide the financial and risk units a daily view from both an operational and a regulatory perspective. For tax computation and regulatory disclosures, our goal is to leverage Prism in order to put together data from Workday financials, maximizing usage of Workday's tax book, exploiting Workday's allocation functionality, and blending in other non-Workday data using Workday instances as the link in composite reporting. This will provide a full tax perspective directly from Workday. So that's all for me. So as you can see, our plans with Workday Prism Analytics are very ambitious, as we have seen the system's potential to help us achieve our goals. Thank you. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you so much, Ruben. That's really great stuff. So for me, I really loved hearing how Oriental Bank is empowering their smaller financial analytics and reporting teams to inform decisions about over $6 billion in total assets. That's awesome. And today, they're already leveraging Prism Analytics' flexible security to meet their highly regulated industry and business requirements. And they're also making life easier for their reporting users by providing bank-wide user-friendly reports, providing access to high volumes of granular daily external loan and deposit data with links to real-time financial data, and automating administrative tasks like high-volume transactional detail reconciliations for their net charge-offs. I really can't wait to see what Ruben and his team continue to be successful with Prism and be that strategic partner to their branch managers by uncovering and securely delivering them those valuable loan delinquency operational insights that they need to run their business. With that, I'll hand it over to our Workday Enterprise Architect, Troy Mackes, to show you Prism Analytics in action.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Okay. So thanks so much, Chris, and thanks, Ruben, for sharing that with all of us. Today, we're going to go through a quick demo of just kind of a example of how you could use Prism within the banking space. So this is very much an example. This is can do. The way that we're going to do that is by first looking at how Prism can help extend the GL. So we're going to look at that GL and extend it to include that operational and transactional detail that would otherwise be stripped out in most systems. Then what we'll do is look at the people impact on the bottom line. So really look at Workday is not just a finance system, not just an HR system, it's both. And how does that tie together with that operational data? And then finally, what we'll go into is how do we even get this data in the first place? How do we uncover these insights and then distribute them out? So throughout this, you'll really see how Workday combines transactions and analytics together and should really help drive some insight. So with that, before we even jump into extending that GL, for those of you that haven't seen Workday before, just want to give you a quick overview of really what this is. This is the homepage for Workday, and we're going to be in the system today as Teresa Serrano, who is our controller, but also wears a data analyst hat. So she kind of wears multiple hats in this demo environment. You'll see that we've got what we call these worklets. They're ways to get to like-minded tasks and reports within the system, really just a quick, modern way to get through the system. You'll also see that if you want a more traditional approach, we do have a sitemap in place as well for that more menu-driven approach. And my personal favorite, as long as you've got security to see something in the system, whether that's a report, a task, a person, cost center, you can do that in a matter of just searching in the top left. And then the final piece to highlight here is the inbox. Now, the inbox is really the transactional engine within the system. So this is how we have a living to-do list within the system. These are those workflows, those transactions. But today is really all about analytics, right? And that's an important thing to distinguish. You've got transactions right here with your analytics in one place. And that's unique to Workday. We're not just talking about an analytics tool. We're really talking about the back office platform and how you can extend it to include all of those operational analytics. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and jump into our financial services analytics dashboard here. Again, this is going to just be an example of some of the ways that a bank could utilize Prism to extend their GL and extend their workers, right? And in this case, we're going to look at this by bond, so just a specific investment vehicle for this example. And we're going to see that this is going to have a combination of different types of data. You're going to have your unrealized gain and loss by bond rating. So we're looking at, that profit, that gain and loss, but also looking at it versus the bond rating. So this would be coming from an external rating agency, in this case Moody's, to say, hey, we need to understand this kind of information from data that lives entirely outside of the system. But we might want to break that down by something like worker and understand of the people who are responsible for this gain and loss, how are they really doing based on that bond rating? So you're already starting to see that combination of internal Workday data and external data. You'll see a collection of other reports as well, looking at bond payment trends, annual payment trends as well, and finally, as we look at market value versus face value and market value versus bond rating, you're really just going to start to get a sense for, I can create lots of different reports in this system, right? I can pull in this external data, join it with the Workday data, and now secure it and distribute it out to the leaders who need to see it. The one report that I really want to bring your attention to today is this annual payments by bond type report, because this is going to help show how that GL can really be extended to include operational and transactional detail, right? We've got our annual payments broken down by different bond type, and we might want to understand of that annual payment, what does this even mean? Right? How can we view this? And so we can view this by different types of dimensions. We've got internal Workday dimensions, Workday native dimensions, but we're also going to have that external dimension, that bond type. So you're seeing that seamless combination of external data here within one place. Okay? Now, as we start to slice and dice, you're going to have full control over these dimensions. You're going to have full control over what they are, and they're really inherent to the transactions, so they don't take a lot of maintenance. As we drill into that mortgage-backed security payment, now we're brought down to the business document level, specifically the customer invoice itself. And we might want to ask some further questions about what that annual payment is made up of, but we also might want to understand what that customer invoice really is in the first place. And so if we analyze that customer invoice, we're able to immediately see right here from this analytic that detailed level, right? That level that is more transactional in nature. Not just the customer invoice itself or the accounting that's behind it, but here's really the kicker: the financial transaction level bond interest income detail, right? The transactional detail that lives behind this customer invoice that in just about every other system would be stripped out as you tried to pull it in to your core system that manages your GL, right? So when we think of this, you've got your core Workday data, but then all of this external information, all of this information about the bond data, that's information that you'd probably lose in other systems, right? You'd lose that information as you summarized it and loaded it into your GL. In Workday, you're going to still be able to have that detail level right there alongside your GL. Okay, so this should really help give some more insight, not only into how Prism works, but more importantly into what it can do for you. Right? It's going to be able to give you much better insight into those journals themselves, into those customer invoices, getting down to that transaction level detail. All right. So with that, that gives you just a brief overview of kind of how the GL can be extended. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this could be utilized from more of a person perspective. As we start to look at how people impact the bottom line, financials and people shouldn't be totally separate, right? And in most systems, you are going to have those separated. In Workday, you're going to have them together. And so we can start to analyze, for example, branch performance and look at the production results trended over each month. and then break that down by employee, right? So in this case, we're just going to look at the consumer loan production percentage to goal. We've got our payment production percentage to goal, and then our deposit to goal as well as a very detailed breakdown of our actual versus our goal with clear indicators showing us, hey, what should we bring our attention to? Where are we struggling? And you might ask yourself, well, we've got this production result by month. We've got this branch performance analysis, but I need to understand really at the deepest level, at the employee level, which of my branch managers are performing best. And so that's where we can now tie into the Workday worker and look at the employee production results by the employee, right? So we might want to look at this for Angela Mora, who in our demo today is going to essentially act as a branch manager. And now we can see her trended production over time that's specific only to her as that employee. Now, in most systems, you might be able to get to this level of detail, but it would be outside of the transactional system. It would be outside of the worker record entirely. But because we're in that transactional system, we're in that system of record, we're going to be able to go straight to Angela, not just take action off of her and see some of her core worker information, but really go specifically to her profile, right? And this is where all of that data is going to live, not just job detail, but performance information, compensation information, benefits. When we go to that performance tab, we'll be brought specifically to her employee production results right there on her worker profile. So now we're taking that external data and we're attaching it to our worker, right? We're contextualizing the worker so that managers, leaders who are really looking at this information and looking at these employees now have all the insight that they need to make better decisions, right? And this is ultimately how combining that transactional, financial, and people data can help you improve the bottom line just by simply having that visibility into how your workers impact your branch success. All right. The final piece to this that we're going to cover is looking at loan analysis and really how we do the analysis in the first place. You've seen a bunch of different reports today, so I could continue to go through these, but there's really not a need. The whole idea is that you can look at this data in any way that you really need to. You'll be able to bring it in seamlessly, join it with Workday, and then distribute it in a secure fashion in the system. And that's what you see here with this, loans given by status or interest rate by loan type. But maybe you want to understand, how do I even get to this in the first place? How do I know to look at this information? And the way that we're going to do that is through what we call discovery boards. Ruben mentioned it earlier. This is essentially a way to start to drag and drop and visualize this external data in a very seamless way, in a very intuitive way. And so we're now brought to this bank loan analysis dashboard where you'll see a few things. You'll, of course, see some of these visualizations, some of these reports that we've been looking at throughout the day with various filters on them as well. But on the left, you'll also start to visualize where that data comes from, right? You've got the branch itself, which would be a Workday native field. But then you've also got things like the loan status, right, or the loan terms. That's going to be external data that you would otherwise not have in a transactional system. So we're going to do all this analysis right here within that transactional system. And the way that we're going to do that is by simply adding a visualization. And it's important to point out that this isn't just for report writing. This is really for uncovering data that you might not have known to look for, right? We don't necessarily know what we need, but we want to start to analyze. We'll be able to do that drag and drop analysis quite seamlessly, looking at the branch. Maybe we want to understand the interest rate on average by branch. And if we don't find that to be a super useful piece of information, that's okay. We'll just look at something else. Maybe we want to look at the average loan terms versus branch. And now we'll start to see some outliers, right? We start to see that Calgary and Vancouver, our two Canadian entities, have a bit of an average loan term that's a little bit higher. There's just a little bit of discrepancy here. And so maybe now as an analyst, we're thinking, this is valuable information to share with leadership. So I want to turn this visualization into a report. So I'm just going to call it average loan terms by branch. And now what I have the ability to do is export this information as a report, meaning utilize the single security model that exists within Workday and distribute that information out to the leadership and to the managers who need to see it. Right? So all in all, from what you've seen today just within this very high-level demo is the ability to, first of all, extend that GL to include operational detail, how including that operational detail on the worker profile can really help you make better decisions, and then finally, how seamless it'll be to find out what we need to look at and to then distribute that information out in the form of a report very easily. Altogether, this really should display how this is going to be a familiar experience, how you're going to have a single security model, and how distribution of data is going to be quite simple. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Chris.
Thanks a lot, Troy. So now with that, we'll select some questions you've been submitting to the Q&A to see what we can answer with the time remaining. For any that we do not answer on this Q&A section, we'll be sending out a follow-up email with additional responses. So be on the lookout for that. So let's take a look at which questions we would like to answer. So this one is for Ruben. So Ruben, it says your solutions for upcoming ALLL guidance, guessing this is CECL. Are you saying that Workday has a module for calculating that, or that Workday will feed into the software that you're using for that?
So Workday does not have a module for CECL, but we are using Prism to transform data that will be entered into a specific application bot for CECL.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruben. Okay, and then we had a question. I guess I can answer this one. So is Prism a module that's included in the general cloud application, or do you have to separately purchase it? So Prism it's built into the fabric of Workday, but it is a separate subscription. So we would have to suggest just talking to your customer success manager or sales folks from Workday to potentially explore that, purchasing that subscription. Now, I think another one, I think for Troy, for you, so how does Prism join Workday and non-Workday data?
Yeah, so the way that works is that the non-Workday data is going to be ingested into Workday, essentially in the form of an ETL, and then once within Workday, really within that Prism component of Workday, you're going to have the ability to join, to union, to group by, essentially to do all the data manipulation right there within the Workday application. It's going to be done through a series of configurations. So not a command line interface, but really a configurable click-by-click way to join that data. You'll then secure it and then distribute it out to be utilized for dashboards and reports like you've seen today.
And I guess kind of to that point too, and you might have answered this already, Troy, but it says for external data, is that brought in manually or via scheduled integration?
That could be both. So certainly could schedule it, could also upload it manually as you see fit.
And then we saw, so there's a question that came in here, so it's around having Workday financials and can import from other systems. So you must have either HCM or Workday financials. So Prism is packaged with either or both. So Oriental Bank has both. Let's see what else we have. Now, Ruben, so this one's for you. So how many of the dashboards are you guys currently managing and putting together yourselves versus those that Workday consultants helped you put together during the implementation?
So Workday's consultants in the beginning helped us with our first two use cases that I mentioned that were the open and closed accounts. And they helped us with the beginning of the net charge-offs versus the general ledger reconciliation. But besides those ones, the rest of the custom reports were made internally from our resources.
Perfect. Thanks, Ruben. Another question, Troy, for you that's similar to some of the questions you've been getting. So is ETL the only way to pull data into Prism?
No, so you can pull in data into Prism via flat file transfer or through API. So you'll have both of those options for ingestion.
Great, thanks, Troy. Now we have a question that's, is Prism report writing the same as Workday financial report writing? And no, it is very different. So Prism it's run on discovery board technology is what we call it. And so it's a drag and drop report writing experience. But in financial management, you create your typical financial statements, whereas in Prism, you would not typically do that today. So Ruben, have you seen any performance issues to core HCM functionality when ingesting large amounts of external data through Prism? I'm not sure if you guys would know this. I know you work more closely on the financial side, but
since we haven't really worked with human resources data as of yet, we can't really answer that. But as of now, we haven't really seen anything that would any performance issues of sort until now.
Great. So another one, Troy, all about pulling in data. So sorry, but can you pull in data from other systems through an EIB load instead of API?
Gotcha. So with reference to the EIB load, EIB essentially being the way that you could, use a template to load data into Workday. That's kind of the way that you load data into Workday now without Prism. The way that you get data into Workday through Prism isn't through an EIB, but it's quite similar in the sense that you'll still be able to upload that data in a flat file format. So it still could be like a CSV XML style upload as opposed to API. So I guess similar in nature, not an EIB, but very similar in nature in how you actually get that data in.
Right, thanks, Troy. So another one here, a little bit more tactical, and I think for you, Troy. So we have a customer who's just unable to get to the discovery board option today, but they're testing Prism. So they're only able to build reports on published data sets. What is your response to that one?
So I'm not sure if I understand that question entirely. Is that so they're using Prism today, but they're not able to access discovery boards? Is that correct?
Correct.
Or just on board? Okay, I'm not sure on that one, so we'll have to follow up with them.
Got it. Thanks, Troy. We will follow up on that one. Let's see. Now, are there any limits on the number of rows that we can load in at the worker level from external systems?
No, there's not a limit. There's no technical limit for how much can be loaded in. So Prism uses very powerful technology with the Hadoop technology to load data in. So one of the reasons that we have Prism in the first place is to be able to load very high volumes of data in without performance issues or limitations. So there's no technical limitation in place for doing that.
Now this one's a little bit technical, Troy, as well, so we'll see if you can answer it. If not, then we'll follow up afterwards. But can Prism be used to create standalone custom business objects with relationships to existing objects?
Yeah, so the way this works with Prism is essentially you're going to create a Prism object, and that object is going to be attached quite seamlessly. It can be joined to Workday objects. The way that you could create calculated fields off of those Prism objects within that data preparation phase, and so those would attach to that native Workday object. I think if you want some more kind of technical detail on how that all works, then we should certainly follow up on that. But at kind of a basic level, yes, you can perform some of that.
Thank you, Troy. So another one, are data discovery boards shareable with non-report writers?
So right now, discovery boards are going to be secured as essentially a all or nothing security within that data discovery. So you'll probably keep that locked down for the moment to your core report writers. However, as we advance and progress with Prism, you'll see an improvement in that security where there's a little bit more permissioning going on with who can access what in discovery boards. So you'll see an advancement there, but right now it really will just be those report writers.
Perfect. Thanks, Troy. Let's see. We'll take a few more. So this one I can answer. So it's, can Prism be integrated with Tableau? And so you can export data as a web service through what we call RAS, which is Report as a Service, to bring it in externally, but we do not have a native integration to Tableau today, and we don't have plans to do so today. Our priority there is to continue to build out our own analytics front end.
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, no, I think I responded to that one, Ruben.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Now, another one's Troy. So can Prism be set up to distribute bundles of reports to users?
Not sure. Let's follow up on that one.
All right, we'll follow up on that one. And then now I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one, Ruben, but are you using Prism for SEC filing of any sort?
We are not right now, but it's something that we can definitely explore. We can use it for that purpose.
Perfect. So I think with that, we will answer any other remaining questions that we couldn't get to by following up via email. So just please be on the lookout for those. And thank you so much, Ruben and Troy, for answering all those questions. So really just wanted to say thanks so much to our special guests, Ruben Valentine and Oriental Bank. And thank you all for joining us. We're going to have 3 more of these webinars each month, one for financial management, planning, and Prism Analytics. They're always on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. And you can use the link in your resources widget to register for any of the upcoming sessions. Additionally, if you'd like to experience our innovation live and get hands-on to explore our products, I'd encourage you to attend one of our Workday Elevate or Discover programs in 24 cities across the U.S. And it's been running since May, but it's running through June 20th. You can learn more by visiting workday.com/elevate. We've also provided a link in your resources widget as well. So thank you, everyone. Thanks so much, Ruben. And thank you again. Have a great day.